guys, this is Dormouse03.
And I'm Iron Praetorian.
And we are continuing our discussions of Mass Effect 3. So, we wanted to do the one sort of episode, I guess, where we're talking about just the endings.
Yeah, and our opinions on each of them, and, each of the endings in turn. And then,
Yes.
a discussion about all of them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we agreed to start with Destruction.
Yes, we agreed to talk about Destroy first.
Yeah. So, Destroy is the ending where you choose to follow Anderson, because in the little flashback stuff it shows Anderson, for whatever reason, shooting a non-distinct tube thing that causes the Reapers and all synthetic life in the galaxy to be destroyed.
And not even just synthetic life, but synthetics in general.
I think anything that's a machine, in the extended cut version, it's effectively all technology will be damaged.
Yes, it will be able to be rebuilt, but it will be damaged. So I think it's effectively supposed to be, and they don't say this because I don't know why, but it's effectively like a big EMP.
Yeah, it's like an EMP that specifically destroys Reapers but has the side effect of damaging every other synthetic / electrical equipment in the galaxy.
Right. So, okay, let's pause there. That, to me, is dumb.
But it makes sense for an EMP.
It makes sense for an EMP, but it doesn't make sense as a choice given to you by this all-powerful artificial intelligence thing. Because
No.
So we just got finished talking about the catalyst and the crucible and all that crap. And so building off of that, he is this very powerful artificial intelligence that has created a solution to this conflict, and he effectively says that this isn't a good choice because this will allow the problem to reemerge. But we're giving you this choice anyway, which doesn't make sense in and of itself. But then the point that I was trying to make was that if he is so powerful and has had this opportunity to perfect his, methods and whatnot over at least hundreds of millions of years, why can't it do better than an EMP that affects all technology?
And it's like, if you are the master control system for the Reapers, can you not just turn them off?
Right.
Like, I am the embodiment of the Reaper's intelligence. So can you not just, kill them? Turn an off switch? Would it not have been better to be a big red button that you walk up to and press? I think the reason why they make it so it's something you're shooting is because it's like the Renegade coloured ending. I did air quotes.
And it wants it to be this destruction, and it's almost like they're telling you that this is the worst option, basically. Although the entire endings don't really play this way for reasons that we'll talk about in a minute. I'm thinking in particular about the music that's playing with the control ending.
Yeah,
right.
In the extended cut.
We'll get there. But for this one, it's almost like they wanted it to have a consequence. Because they didn't want this to be a good ending, because they wanted Synthesis to be the good ending.
Yeah, they basically wanted this ending to be, oh, you can destroy the Reapers, but you're effectively going to doom the galaxy to chaos, and it's going to kill itself. Whereas I viewed it very much as, this is the free will ending. This is, I choose not to believe what you're saying, or, if synthetics are going to destroy organics, let them.
Right.
Maybe that's what's supposed to happen.
Right.
But the point being is if it was a field, like a pulse that destroyed solely Reaper tech based synthetics, I could understand why it would kill the Geth, kill the Reapers, kill Edie, because they're all based on Reaper tech. But why does it have to affect every single piece of electronic equipment, including like the implants in Shepard as well? It's alluded to, at least by the catalyst, that we're partially synthetic, because we were rebuilt in Mass Effect 2, and it feels like you said, why could he not tailor it to just destroy Reapers and their like husks and
brutes and anything that has
Reaper tech, effectively.
Reaper tech. Yes.
But also, it would have made more sense also with the whole EMS system, that if you have bad EMS, then the signal kills all synthetics. But if you have good EMS is effective military strength, and it's for war assets within the game.
Right.
It could have been cooler to you get the bad destroy endings, which means that, well, the really bad destroy ending means that nearly everything in the galaxy is destroyed, and the extended cut is just hack it on a space station or like a ship that's like pretty much destroyed, and like he's not sure exactly how the future's going to unfold. He's like, we won, but we have taken so many casualties, we don't know what's going to happen. I would like to have seen maybe a scale of that, and the top end being only the Reapers are destroyed, Edie and the Geth get to live.
Yes, that would have been cool. But they didn't want to do that, because then that would effectively allow you to have a good ending where they didn't want you to have a good ending.
No, that would have effectively been a good ending, but with synthetics existing, and synthetics are bad.
Right.
In context of... But it's like synthetics aren't exactly bad, it's the conflict that's bad. Because he says he ascends synthetics as well to Reaper 4.
Right. Which is basically like, two nations. I was going to give an actual example, and then I was like, let's not get into politics. So two parts of a nation are fighting against one another, and one is kind of winning. And so instead of trying to create peace between the two of those, we're going to kill them all.
Yeah.
Effectively. So anyway.
Well, we're not. We're going to melt them down and turn them into two identical looking squids.
Yes. And that helps there not be war.
Because the two squids are now under my control and can't fight each other. But they're not whatever species they were before, because they can't be.
Right. Anyway, the destroy ending. I don't know, it just feels like they made it affect all technology because they wanted you to have that consequence. Yeah. And it's almost like it makes the only way that I can rationalize the reason for that is that the catalyst is pissed off. It's like, if you make this choice, you now have the ability to make this choice that I don't agree with. But you're not going to be able to do it well, and I'm going to, destroy all this other crap as an FU to you.
It doesn't also specify whether he's killed. It
Right.
said the Reapers are destroyed, so I'm assuming he is, but it's not specified like, this will kill me. Oh god, yes, I will destroy you. You irritating small holographic child.
Right.
So, that's effectively the destroy ending. You have the whole extended cut stuff.
Yeah.
Which is cool, which is voiced over by Admiral Hackett, who's awesome. And it's nice to see like a bit more information, but why we couldn't have had that in the original version, I don't understand. It fills in some plot holes.
Well, and it gives you a nice conclusion where you get to see some of the rebuilding of the civilizations and what happens to your squad mates, kind of, and that sort of thing. Where, that's not necessarily necessary for the ending, but it's nice. And it's what they've done for all of their other games. And so we sort of expected it to be in this one. So, you know, the addition was cool.
Yeah. So, I think that's our look on Destroy.
Mm-hmm. So, and last little side note is if you do have the highest level of EMS, then Shepard lives. So it apparently. Is the only. It is. I mean, I think it's pretty implied that Shepard lives.
We see them take a breath.
Mm-hmm. And so they don't put the nameplate on the
wall. No, they don't. That's true.
And so I would say that's enough evidence to say you can assume that Shepard lives.
But this is the only ending which Shepard lives.
Yes, it is the only ending in which Shepard can live.
Well, in the form they're in. Speaking of which, the next ending
is Control.
Is Control, which is slated to be the paragon, in air quotes, by colour ending, and it effectively has you assuming the control of the Reapers and replacing the Catalyst as their AI command program.
Mm-hmm.
And then you use the Reapers to rebuild the mass relays, which we didn't talk about in the Destroy ending, but the signals sent out through the mass relays, they get damaged in all of the endings.
Right.
In some of them, I think in the really bad Destroy ending, they actually explode.
Mm-hmm.
And
which would wipe out
the majority of life.
Yeah.
So the mass relays are damaged, they send the signal out, you gain control of the Reapers and all of the Reaper forces, so all the husks, all the brutes. And then you effectively have a really sinister piece of music playing in the background. And Shepard talks about how he will enable people to have their own voice, but also to kind of keep the peace effectively. He was also going to, or she, but I say he because I play as he. They effectively will police the galaxy, is implied, to allow people to have a future, effectively. And then they... I know what I was going to say. There's two different versions of that ending, depending on whether you're Renegade or Paragon through the game. So the Renegade one is I will control the Reapers for the good of the galaxy, whether they like it or not. Whereas the Paragon one is kind of I'm going to control the Reapers and they're going to help keep the peace effectively, but not through an iron fist kind of, is how I interpret the Renegade one.
Mm-hmm. It's the people can't be trusted, and so I'm going to keep tight control on them, versus I'm going to keep less of a tight control on them, but I'm still going to have control.
So it still very much feels like you're dictating. It's basically God Shepherd, and you get to dictate how the galaxy works with your Reapers.
Right. And it's if anybody gets out of line, I'm going to come in with my Reapers and just destroy you.
Yeah. Or, destroy your weapons and ships and stuff and render you useless.
Right.
You could do that effectively.
Right. It is basically Machine God Shepard.
Yeah. It's totalitarian state Shepard.
Right. And I think that's why that sinister music is playing, because it's, when you think about it, it's a little oh my god, now I am one person who's not a person anymore, because he or she basically says that they've lost the person that they used to be.
Yeah.
And are now something different.
Their sacrifice has enabled me to be born. So it's
Right.
like an AI with the essence of Shepard.
Right. With Shepard's memories.
Yeah, to kind of guide them.
Mm-hmm. And so you don't really know what this is like. What are the implications of that? You know, is this just some sort of god AI that's going to rule forever? Or is it only going to rule long enough for the societies to be rebuilt? And
Will
then
it also
it's
come
gonna...
to the same conclusion as Star Child and start harvesting people?
Right. You know, like, I really like my Reapers and you people are pissing me off, so
I'm going to turn you into one.
I'm going to turn you into one. Or I'm going to indoctrinate everybody. You know, like...
It very much feels like it's giving up free will to keep the peace.
Right. And to make it effectively so you don't take any losses. So I think one of the reasons why you like this ending is because you don't have to sacrifice the Geth and you don't have to sacrifice Edie.
No, which means that I get kind of the ending I want because I don't care if my Shepherd lived or not. I'd come to the conclusion they were probably not going to let me keep my Shepherd alive, so therefore, why not? You know, why not become God Shepherd, control the Reapers, and then make it so all my homies live?
Right.
I love saying homies with a British accent. And
then you can fly all of the Reapers and yourself while you're at it into the sun.
No, what I do is build myself a robot body, like Edie's.
Right.
And then fly the Reapers all into the sun. And be like, God, robot, man, shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
Or woman. And then get in a relationship with Trainer because she likes Edie's synthetic voice. If I played as a female, obviously.
Right. So yeah, that's Control, and I think, you know, it makes sense, and it is the only one, I will say, which the method by which you perform the ending makes sense to me. Because the Destroy ending, it makes no sense why blowing up some random tube will set off this giant EMP and, you know, destroy everything. Instead of, as you suggested, a button or like a Reaper off switch or whatever. You know,
yeah,
a Reaper self-destruct switch.
It's basically like, just send this signal and it will destroy the Reapers.
Yeah.
Rather than, it could be argued that the thing is like a power surge stopper thing, and that you destroying it causes a power surge that destroys the Reapers. Cool, but that's not explained. It's just like you shoot something.
Right. And you have to walk toward the explosion too.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense. So
because we're cool guys, and cool guys don't look at explosions. Sorry.
Yep. So just the method by which you do that doesn't make any sense. It could have been much better done. The method by which you do synthesis, which we'll talk about in a second, also makes no sense. The entire concept of synthesis makes no sense. But like throwing yourself into a giant particle beam is just, it's nonsense. But assimilating yourself into a control center and basically downloading yourself or uploading yourself into the framework of the computer does make sense. And it you know, putting your hands on the console, and then it kind of has this electric thing that
effectively scans you and disintegrates you into the system.
Right. Yeah. That makes more sense than the other two as the means by which you...
Well, actually, the most sense one is the Refusal ending, where you shoot him and he goes, "You're an idiot." And that makes the most sense, because shooting someone generally is a bit of a stupid thing to do in the first place.
Right.
Or you know, you do the conversation thing. But anyway.
Right.
So, synthesis. I'm going to sit back, relax, and mostly let you do this one.
Well, so synthesis is suggested to be the best ending, both by the Catalyst outright telling you that it's the best ending.
And to quote, "Synthesis is inevitable." End quote.
Yes. So basically the catalyst says that if you have enough EMS and have basically EMS means that you built the crucible better or poorly. And if you've built it poorly, then you don't have as many choices. And if you've built it better, then you have more choices available to you with better results.
And so I think the poorly one also constitutes the crucible taking more damage when you get it to the citadel, because you don't have as many fleets to support it.
Right. In any case, so when you've built the crucible well and gotten it there intact and whatnot, then you have the option to do this synthesis thing. And he says that it's opened up this new possibility. And now that I know of this new possibility, I see that this is the inevitable solution to the conflict between synthetics and organics. And that inevitable solution is a synthesis between synthetics and organics. Basically, things evolving so that they share similar building blocks, share similar DNA. And so we have a merger between the two things. And it's like, okay, so... And it says that it's tried something similar before, but was never able to succeed. Because, what did it say? Why was the reason why it couldn't succeed?
Organics were not ready for it. It's as if they attempted to synthesize them, and they were like, oh god, what's this? No, help. I guess.
Right. I guess. Or that they rejected it, or that
they all died.
They died through the process of doing that, or something. And so, I mean, it doesn't really say, but it's just like they weren't ready to ascend yet, basically.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, by your people being able to create the battery to power this solution means that now organics are ready for this.
Yeah.
Which...
It also seems more like now he has the power to make it happen all at once, all around the galaxy.
Right.
More than, like you're suddenly ready.
Right. Because he couldn't have built the battery before. Anyway.
It also somehow altered his programming, which makes me think like someone just installed a more powerful processor in his head.
Uh-huh. It's very strange and not well explained. But, and there's also something to do with Shepard, him or herself, that by adding yourself to the equation allows this synthesis to happen. And without you and your special self, it wouldn't be possible. Which, again, it's like trying to make it be like Shepard is some sort of, I don't know, Jesus figure or something like that. Like, now it's possible to do this because of you, because you exist and you're so special and there's something about you that's different. But it's like, is that within Shepard's DNA that makes Shepard different, or is it the result of Shepard's experiences that has made Shepard different? And I don't know. It comes down to a philosophy that I just don't quite like.
And it also comes down to, should you as one single individual have the power to change the DNA of every species in the galaxy because you think it's the right decision? Do people not have a choice? Like, it will end the Reaper threat, and you were told to end the Reaper threat, but to change everybody in the galaxy when they told you to destroy them is effectively what you've been working towards. It's like, oh god, I think I need to get a committee of maybe the heads of most of the species in the galaxy and have a bit of a chat first.
Mm-hmm.
And some Geth and other AIs, because they're going to become partially organic. Right. It's just kind of like suddenly you are effectively the only person in the galaxy's opinion that matters.
Right. which first of all goes against everything that would have happened if you were a paragon.
Yeah, because you've helped everybody, you've understood them, you've worked towards cooperation. Obviously a renegade might play it differently, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they'd be up for converting the entire galaxy into hybrids.
Right. And so, I don't know, it's almost like we can even just ignore the fact that the entire process scientifically makes no sense. Like,
it's
the way
like
that
somehow
it happens.
atomizing a person in a beam of energy creates synthetic DNA.
That then is able to be dispersed to everyone, and
Through a signal.
Through a signal, and that doesn't kill them.
Well, I guess
isn't invasive.
An energy wave. The only way I
Right.
could think of it is it turns it into a nanite field that rebuilds your DNA, that doesn't kill you.
That doesn't kill you. Yeah. And so, okay. So let's just assume that...
Bad science, space magic aside.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's bad science, space magic, but even aside from that, it makes no sense why you would choose this.
Yeah. And I think one of the key reasons that we've talked about before in our discussions, that we haven't recorded, is husks.
Yes.
And marauders, and especially brutes.
Yes. And reapers themselves, too. Like, because basically all of these creations have been reaperized, and they're shells and conglomerations of different species and what they were in a different form. But then if this happens, and we see it happening, because you see the husks kind of turn peaceful, right?
Yeah.
And sort of look at the other people like, hey, I see you, we're cool. And so that tells me that all of these things are now sentient beings.
As far as we're aware.
As far as we're aware. And the question is, like, does it retain the memories? Does it know what it was before?
Or is it a whole new
different?
birth? Like, is it like a whole new consciousness? We just don't know.
Right.
Or would you want to run the risk of your mum becoming a husk, then you do the synthesis ending, and she's now Husk Mum, who has the memories of your mother in the body of an abomination.
In the body of a husk. Or, your friends, your
or
friends,
even yourself.
The Asari, right? The Asari that have now become banshees. That they remember who they were before, but now they're a banshee. Or the Turian and it's Turian and Krogans, right? That
For the
create
brutes.
the brutes, right? Who have been effectively combined together. Now they have two brains. Do they have two brains? or how does that even work?
Or is it a Turian brain in a Krogan body?
Yeah, like a Turian head, like sewed onto a Krogan body. The point is that it's horrific.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Especially if they have memories of who they were before.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey mom, oh my god, get away from me. It's like...
Yeah.
You
It's like negating all of that. It's like saying that, well, you won't care because you'll be a higher form of whatever that doesn't care about your body or how you look or, that kind of stuff. And, I guess that's the implication. It doesn't at all say that. But
the
that's
implication also is like, you, will there be a need for reproduction?
Right.
Because if you find a higher form of existence, are you even going to need kids? Will you live forever and effectively be immortal? Will you overpopulate the galaxy if you have children? Because they won't die, you won't die, their grandkids won't die. Unless you have wars with each other and then kill each other or whatever.
What resources do you still need? You know?
Do you need to eat?
Do you need to breathe? Do you need certain materials in order to keep yourself going? Because Edie says, and Edie does the voiceover for this ending in the extended cut, that we may even be able to surpass mortality or something like that, right? So she says that, and so it's like, well, if we're going to work toward immortality for everything, you know, what does that mean? And there's a lot of things that aren't answered.
We'll all become some big conglomeration entity thing, like the Reapers. Does that mean that we're like gonna? And it's like, you could make machines again that don't contain DNA. Could they kill you by accident?
Unless every thing, every substance, every element in the galaxy has now become...
No, it wouldn't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, it can't.
No, because molecules in atoms in the galaxy would not be synthetic. They'd be still carbon, still oxygen, still hydrogen. What happens is you would still have your organic DNA, but then you'd have some like kind of minute circuitry around it to be the synthetic, like, able to make you integrate. Because that's effectively how they showed it, was like DNA that then gets changed and becomes more electrical, like with all the circuitry all on their skin kind of stuff. And it's kind of like, how would that work? Would you still function the same way because your DNA is now different? Like, you'd be able to interact with machines, or you effectively are a machine, partially.
Yeah. And it's like, would you even be the same person when so much of your fundamental structure has been changed? Because
you would, obviously, I guess you would think faster. You would. Could you even become solar powered? Like, it's all very complicated.
Yeah, the point is that any type of leap like that, if you were suddenly thrust into this different existence, like, how do you handle that? Like, would you even be the same person fundamentally, like have the same identity? I would say probably not.
Not if your DNA has been rewritten. Like, will you still be a pacifist, or will you want war?
Would you still be someone who is selfish, or would you now be someone who goes for the collective good? Yeah. Would
you still be a emotion-driven entity, or would you now be logic-based?
Right. And it just... there are too many things that you wouldn't know what would happen with that big of an alteration to your person.
Yeah, we're just told it's the best ending.
We're just told that that's the inevitable thing that's going to happen, and so let's shove it forward that many years. So it's basically like taking an ape and saying, well, you're eventually going to become a human, so now we're going to give you a human body.
Yeah, but we're not going to allow you to get there on your own.
Right. We're going to just sort of force you into that, and then your ape identity will somehow converge with the human anatomy, and you'll be fine. Just trust us.
Yeah, we know what we're doing.
And then the plants are also biosynthetic?
Yeah, because they're based on DNA. So every living organism in the galaxy will have biosynthetic DNA, hence plants.
But it's like, but why? Because plants were never at conflict with anything.
No, because you've changed the DNA of the entire galaxy, so every form of life in the galaxy has the same DNA.
I understand that. But the point is that this is supposed to be a solution to the conflict between synthetics and organics. So why would it affect things that are not part of that conflict?
Because it's a byproduct of having to change the entire DNA so it changes it within plants as well, even though, yes, like you said, they had no part in the conflict, all DNA has changed.
Right.
Because of your actions.
Yeah, I don't know.
How would a plant even work with that kind of DNA? Would it now, have small wind turbines and stuff?
I mean, do they germinate still? Do they still grow, or are they sort of locked in as like whatever they were?
Will we get Day of the Triffids? Where
are they
plants
now sentient?
Attack? Yeah, it's something I wouldn't want to do for the fact that I know so little about it that I couldn't justify doing it.
Yeah.
And also doing that to people without their say.
Yeah, it's like I've called it before, it's basically equivalent to genetic rape. Because you're forcing this onto people without their permission.
Yeah.
Because you think that this is what's supposed to happen. Or not even because you think it's what's supposed to happen, it's because something told you that this is what's supposed to happen, and therefore, that's what I'm going to do.
Right. But that could be argued for all of the endings.
Yes. No, I mean, I agree with you, but destruction is something that at least everybody was behind. We want to destroy the Reapers.
Yeah, and if a byproduct of that is destroying the Geth and ED, that's the price you're willing to pay.
Right, because otherwise it would have been everything.
Precisely. Which leads us into the refusal ending, which effectively is everything being destroyed. You refuse, the cycle continues as normal, and you're all harvested. Humans, Turians, Asari, every higher civilization.
Mm-hmm.
However, you and Liara have made beacons with repositories of knowledge in them to give the catalyst technology to the future generations.
Right.
And tell about warn them about the Reapers and the conflict and such. Because we assumed that the refusal ending would be they found another way to destroy the Reapers, but BioWare comes along and says no, they just made the catalyst.
Right.
So they are telling you their ending again. Like, no, this is the ending you get whether you do any of this. You still have to use the catalyst.
And so basically it's saying that, well, you didn't want to make this choice, fine. We'll let somebody else make this choice later. But they still have the same choices. And so the refusal ending could have been a really good ending, where it's like, okay, well, we just couldn't beat them conventionally, and we lost. But leaving our knowledge behind allows somebody else to do it.
We couldn't beat them conventionally, we couldn't beat them inconventionally using the catalyst and the crucible and him giving us options. We're just like, nah. None of those options are any good. We choose death.
Well, we choose to go out fighting because they say that, we'll just fight you. And then it's like, well, and then they lost.
Well, he goes, so be it.
Yeah.
Goes Harbinger on your ass.
Yeah, well, that's if you shoot him, but not if you have the conversation, right?
I don't know if he might say so be it at the end.
Yeah, that might be. Yeah, that might be true.
Because the first ending I got with the extended cut was the refusal ending because I shot it.
Yes, I think I did the same thing.
I was like, you again. So be it. Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. I think I did the exact same thing because I hated him so much. But, yeah, so it went from this idea of okay, so they're telling us that we can't fight and win, fine. But we allowed other people later to fight and win. Cool. But they're like, no, we didn't do that. Basically, you just allowed yourselves to be killed for nothing because they made this choice later anyway.
Yep.
And you could have made the choices now, and then people would have lived. But you chose not to do that, and so everybody died, and then they made these choices anyway.
Yeah. So I think the point being is that 2 of the endings don't work for us.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of them we can understand the logic behind them. So the control ending makes sense, and the destroy ending makes sense. And I think in the context of the story, it's like control is whether you don't agree, you don't know whether to trust the catalyst or not, and destroy is you don't agree with the catalyst, and then synthesis is you agree with the catalyst and have no qualms about changing the DNA of everybody in the galaxy.
Right. And I would agree with that, except I would adjust the control one a little bit to say, not that you don't know, but you think you can do better.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, it's like, I disagree with the catalyst's logic, and therefore I am going to destroy everything. I agree with the catalyst's logic, and don't mind changing the DNA of everything in the galaxy, and go with synthesis. Or, I disagree with the catalyst's logic and think that I can do better. So I'm going to take over for him. So...
because he's a whiny little 5-year-old.
Yes. So, yeah. So that's our takes on the endings. It's not that they're terrible. It's just that... And I think that they could have... And I didn't mind the number of them either. I thought that was fine.
No, I thought the number was fine. Even if there'd only been 2.
Mm-hmm. That would have been fine. It's just... I think synthesis is horrific. Like, just personally, I think that's a horrific thing to do.
The trouble is, you and I both chose synthesis the first time it became available.
Yep. Because they lead you to... Because they tell you. Because you're programmed to think that, like, oh, okay, this is going to be the best thing because...
It took all of our EMS to get here.
Yeah, because this is the thing... And it tells you this is the best solution. This is the one you should pick. That's what it effectively says.
Yep.
And then you do it, and then you're like, oh my god.
But it was even worse the first time because we had no extended cut.
Right, and you have no idea what happens.
So you're like, I changed the DNA of everybody. They've got circuitry on their arms and green eyes. And we only get that from the Normandy crew when they get out. And then look at the new world and Edie and Joker hug, and it's like, is that it?
Yeah.
And actually, we could just say, without the extended cut, all the endings are the same, effectively, except for the colour.
Yes. Except, well, that's not necessarily true. All the endings are the same, except in some things are alive and some are not. And in the synthesis one, things have new DNA. And that is shown, without the extended cut, that things have new DNA.
True. But the only difference between the destroy... I guess, yeah. I'm trying to think of whether the husks being destroyed is actually part of the extended cut. But I think that was in the original. Like them being destroyed or them becoming... like in the control ending...
Like just running away.
You see them run away. I'm not sure what happens in the synthesis ending. I don't know if we have the one where it looks up. Like, I think that might be part of the extended cut.
I think it was.
Might have to rewatch the original endings. Because it's been a while since I saw the original ones.
Point being is that there were little differences to the endings, but there was not a lot.
No. Those epilogues were... needed.
Yeah, they really were. They were.
In the original game. The point that BioWare had to come out and make the extended cut shows that they felt that they hadn't given us enough information. Whether they thought we were stupid and like, oh yeah, I really understood the endings without the extended cut and you're all idiots kind of mentality is like, well, why did they need to even bring it out? If there were so few of us complaining that the ending was not detailed enough or there were too many plot holes, why did they bother?
Right. They wouldn't have if it had been a significant if it had been such a minority of people, they wouldn't have done it. And so feeling is that there was a significant number of their consumers that were like, guys, this was not enough of an ending.
No.
Because everything was very much the same, except for a couple of different things. And yes, you can't, in your mind, you could extrapolate what that ending meant, but that does not mean that it shouldn't have been shown.
No.
So, that's our take on the endings. Synthesis is bad. The other options are... Refusal is effectively...
Isn't really an ending.
And it's not really an ending. And then the other two make sense based on what your goals are.
Yes.
So, there it is, guys. Let us know what you thought of the endings to Mass Effect 3. And please be respectful of us and of one another. And...
yeah.
We welcome well-reasoned debate.
We do indeed. Thank you
thanks
for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.